Almost 9 years ago, I purchased a Minecraft account, and since then, I have still never successfully tackled a single-player world on my own. So I decided to try and attempt to live in hardcore survival alone for 100 Minecraft days, and this is how it went. The first day started off like any other, punching some trees for wood. After gathering some wood, I figured a sword was probably my best option in this hardcore world to help defend myself from death. So I grabbed the sword and got going, killing every single animal I could see. And at the earliest point I could, I found myself a mountain to look over the nearby land to try and find myself a village to move into temporary so that I cannot die. However, nothing was in sight apart from a nether portal, so I headed straight towards it to try and grab its stuff. After a small walk, we finally arrived to find a golden axe and a golden shovel, two tools that will actually help me at the start. And after I had my newfound riches, I decided it was best to get an upgrade and grab some stone. A new pickaxe was made, and it was time to venture into our first real challenge, a cave. I was first greeted by a lot of iron, which was perfect for me to craft some tools and armor. I also found a zombie spawner. This is something I approached very carefully after I've seen other people meet a very painful demise in a hardcore world due to these things. I got super lucky with my first cave and ended up leaving with 20 iron. And as my iron cooked away in the furnace, I was pushed by a sheep as I fashioned his fluffy friend into a bed. And finally, I made a shield, which I had no idea about the true help this wooden board would provide me on this 100-day journey. And that was it. The day which I thought would be the most challenging of them all was over. Day 1 was complete. Day 2 was a very simple one. I picked up all of my belongings and began my journey yet again to find a village. A village was a very key thing I was after, not only for its food, but because it just saves me time building a base. And also the villagers there offer really good trades, so the faster I could find a village, the better. And after about 15 minutes of running around trying to find one, I finally found one. So my first task was to grab the hay bales and try and locate some loot. And boy, did this place not disappoint. I found one of the best blacksmiths I have ever found, and then watched the sun of day 2 slowly slip behind the mountain. Day 3 started off great. I used my loot from the blacksmith to locate myself a horse and tame him to become my best friend forever. I threw a saddle on him and our adventure continued to find a village. I was not satisfied with the village I found at first until I found this one. This village was exactly what I was looking for. I loved the look of it and I really liked the land nearby. So I picked myself out a house, and by the time this was all done, day 3 was virtually over. These days go by so fast I don't even realize, so I set myself up inside of a little house, dropped all of my stuff off inside, and watched the sun of Minecraft slip behind the dunes of the desert from my brand new house. Day 4 was a day of mining. I went down and got as much coal, iron, diamonds, gold that I possibly could. This journey went on a lot longer than I expected, and I was actually down there for 4 days. And I grabbed a bunch of diamonds, a bunch of iron, and I got out and was able to make myself a full set of diamond armor, which in hardcore is very important. I spent the next few days gathering materials for my new house. I wanted a simplistic feel that also fit in with the rest of the village, so I got to work. And by day 13, it was done. On day 14, I made an enchantment table, and on day 15, I enchanted my armor and tools to get me ready for the nether. And that's exactly where I went on day 16. I made my nether portal down in a cave and went in. I was really scared when entering, so I had my shield up, but I was in a pretty safe place. Until I came into contact with some hoglins. These things did not want to say hello. But by day 17, I'd finally got some piglins in a hole and was bartering with them with some gold to try and get myself some good loot. After draining the piglins from everything they would give me, I made my way over to a nether fortress and found some actually really good stuff in the chests. This stuff will help me on my mission to hopefully take down a wither. But then I found the next big challenge, a bastion. I approached this thing with care and found 16 gold blocks, which I will later use to barter with some more piglins. I killed a lot, and I mean a lot, of these piglins inside of here. And after 2 days of tackling a bastion and the nether as a whole, I decided it was time to leave and go home with what I had. I had travelled quite far in the nether, so I had no clue where I was going to come out, and to no shock, I came out 7,000 blocks away from my base. So I started mining to the top to try and find my bearings. It was night when I arose, so I decided to find a local village, get a bed for the night, and skip to day 21. I then found a local horse and began my long journey back home, which took 3 days. But after finding lots more villages and stealing all of their bread, I finally made it home, and I was so happy to see my house. Day 25 was a day of gathering resources. Whilst in the nether, I had a vision of me building a house, an actual farmhouse, in the middle of a desert and having a really contrasting environment. So, on day 25, I set off to get some dirt and a lot of wood so that I could build my new farm base in the middle of a desert. And it took me a while. I spent nearly a day gathering resources and mining away at dirt, making a big hole so I had enough to fund my farm. And after I had the resources, I started lining out the area in the desert, and before I knew it, I had a full layout of where my farm was going to be. I worked endlessly all through the nights to finish off the build. It looked great in the end, in my opinion, and hopefully soon I can start building a few houses around it over the coming days to make it look even better. Day 28 started with my first near-death experience, and after I built the courage to continue with my day, I started the build on my new house. With this house, I wanted it to have a really cool stone look, as well as a little bit of wood and a very open plan. So, I got building, and I built through many nights. I went through a lot of resources. I even had to go mining at some points to get more cobble for this house. But in the end, I think it was worth it. After I thought I was done, I thought there was a little bit too much stone with the house, so I decided to change the floors to a wooden planks look to maybe change up the colour a little bit, and I think it looked really good. So as the sunlight of day 30 slipped away into the darkness, I went home to sleep and start moving all of my stuff to my brand new house. Which wasn't too hard because I didn't really have a lot. The hardest thing to transport would be my new cows. And for those, I would need a new farmhouse to put them in, so I went again to gather some resources. I just needed a lot of wood so I could stick with the wooden theme that I had going on with the farm, so I got chopping. I then dug out the new area for where the farm was going to go so I could store my animals when I got them over here. And after a few days of building and chopping away, I was able to transport my cows, and I had a lot of them. This took a lot longer than I was expecting, and some of the cows nearly died in the process, and a lot of them ended up just walking away, but in the end, I got quite a few back to the farm, so now I can start breeding them once again. On day 34, I've moved my enchantment table to my new house and then stood by the window and listened to some music through my new jukebox. It was at this moment that I realised that we were on day 34 and I hadn't really made any of my major achievements that I wanted to do. So it was at that point that I decided it was time to head back into the nether and try and get myself some wither skeleton skulls to take on a wither. So there I was, day 35 in the nether, starting my mission to try and get 3 wither skeleton skulls. And this was quite possibly the longest journey of my life. I had no idea how long it was going to take to get these wither skeleton skulls. I had never done it before. But after 9 days in the nether, and after killing endless amounts of wither skeletons, like seriously, they just kept on coming, I finally got my first skull. And after that, they just kept on coming. Whilst doing this, I watched a 2-hour and 10-minute documentary on Netflix. And when I had finished, I had been in the nether for 13 days. I had everything that I wanted from this journey, so I decided it was time to go home and start getting prepared to take on the wither. I returned home to my farm again to see the day coming to an end. So I threw all of my stuff from my journey in a chest and decided it was almost time for bed. The day after that, I did some farming. And at our halfway milestone of 100 days, I made my horse a brand new house so that he didn't have to walk around in mine. And I ended off day 50 with me listening to some great music, getting me motivated for the wither fight. So the next day, I ventured into the nether to grab some soul sand so that I could build the wither when I went home. And then when I got home, I enchanted my stuff and started to build it. I had never done a wither in survival before, so I was super scared. So I ran away for a few minutes after I first made it because I didn't know what to do. But then after watching the tutorial, I realized it was actually pretty easy to kill these things. And before I even knew it, it was dead. And finally, after 52 days of playing, we had our first real achievement. We had a nether star. After this, I then decided it was time to try and tick off a few other things that I have never done in Minecraft. So, I set off on a long journey to try and find a jungle so that I can experience a jungle temple in survival. However, on my journey, I came across something else that I had never experienced. A woodlands mansion. I had no expectations with this, but got extremely scared when something with an axe started running at me. I killed him and also killed supposedly the hardest thing inside the mansion from 50 blocks away with a bow without even realizing. So I got myself a totem of undying. This will help a lot on our journey because if I hold this when I die, I technically don't die. I got into another altercation with the men with axes, found an anvil, and then decided it was time to go home. It took me a few days since I continued slowly to try and find a jungle, but unfortunately I couldn't find one, and by day 62 I had arrived home again. On day 63 I got some more resources because I wanted to build yet again a new house. I wanted a really spacious farmhouse. So on day 63 I went mining for some wood. On day 64, I bred my cows in an unsafe manner. There was so many in this little area. And then I also killed a bunch of them to get some food because I was going a little bit low on food. So then the next day, I started building. I built all the way through the night of day 65 on my brand new farmhouse. Now, I'm not going to lie, this took way too long for what it turned out to be because I kept taking it down and then rebuilding it and changing loads of stuff. So it took me a lot longer than it needed to take. However, I was very happy with the end result. It's just what I want in terms of space and it overlooks my whole farm area. So it really suits the farmhouse look. So on day 70, it was done. And then what did I do? I went back to breeding my cows in their very small farm area. On day 71, I went mining for some more diamonds because my armor had taken a beating. I needed some new armor. So I went mining for more diamonds and then enchanted the new armor and got the best armor I could possibly get out of what I had. At this point, I thought I was ready to take on the one thing I've never actually done legitimately in Minecraft, and that is take on the Ender Dragon. But before I could do that, I needed to kill some Endermen to get some pearls so that I could convert them into Eyes of Ender and track down the portal, because I still had no idea where it was. So I got just nearly 2 stacks of pearls and headed home and started to make some Eyes of Ender. I then did the usual of throwing them in the air and just tracking them, and I kept following them for a long time until it started going in the floor. So I was like, okay, well, I found it. So I dug down and found the stronghold and started walking around to try and find the portal. It took me a while because this stronghold was a complete mess, but eventually I found the portal. This was it. This was the time I had been waiting for. The end. And it was time to go in. And there I was, in the end, and the first thing I realized, I didn't bring my totem of undying. So I just started going straight at it. I thought I need to spend the least time possible in here. The longer I'm in here, the longer I have to possibly die. And I don't have my totem of undying, so if I die, this is over, and I can't afford to die. I was not at all prepared for this place. I didn't bring anywhere near enough arrows. I just wasn't prepared. The only thing that I knew I needed when I came here was a piston, and I brought that. That was the main thing. So it took me a while to break all of these things down. And I clutched an incredible water bucket at one point. But slowly but surely, I took all of these little tall towers out and eventually had to kill the Ender Dragon. I ran out of arrows towards the end. I only had one left and I wasted my shot. So that meant I had to take this thing on with my sword. And well, it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. But in the end, he flew right at me. I ran out, hit him, and he was dead. I started exploding. I was a little bit worried, but then I realized he was floating up. I was so excited. I forgot about the XP as well, which was a huge bonus. I was so happy to have finally killed the Ender Dragon and also to not have died. I was so worried. When he launched me in the air, I thought it was game over. Obviously, thankfully, I clutched the water bucket, but it was an incredible little fight I had with this guy. It took me half an hour. I was in there for half an hour, which equates for 3 days. I was in there for a while. But finally, I was able to take my prize, which was the dragon egg, and head home. As I returned, the sun of day 76 was setting, so I decided to head to bed and get ready to make a cool cabinet for my dragon egg tomorrow. And that is exactly what I didn't do. I just made a shelf for it because I actually wanted to make a beacon. I have the nether star. I got this obviously quite a long time ago from when this part was recorded, and I wanted to make a beacon. So I made it on top of my base and it looked great. It gives me speed, which is exactly what I wanted. So I used my new speed to go and farm my farm and then breed my cows. And in the process of doing that, I found out that I have too many cows in my cow farm. They start suffocating. They were dying because there was so many in there. So before I would have the animal rights activists in my comments saying the cows aren't being treated right, I expanded my cow farm. Now this took so long, so much longer than I was expecting, so I had to go and get some wood first off. However, because the cows were already in the farm, I couldn't do anything because every time I tried to place a block, the cow was in the way, so it wouldn't let me. So this took a long time. However, with some help from my trusty water bucket, I was able to temporarily move the cows away from the staircase so I could actually place the blocks. So finally, the cows were able to get onto the second floor of the farm. So then I started working on a cool roof that kind of fitted the horse pen that I made a few days previously. And then it was done. I now had a 2-story cow farm that would not make my cows suffocate. On day 80, it was a very unproductive day. I did nothing but kill cows and kill a stray creeper that was outside of my house. On day 81, my base was attacked by pillagers, which I had no idea where they came from, but they were an easy kill. There was like 6 of them. I killed them all pretty fast and got a cool banner to put on the wall of my house. And then on day 82, I continued my efforts from a few days earlier and trying to find a jungle temple. This is still something I had never found in Minecraft Survival, legitimately, and these things have been in the game for a long time. So it took quite a few days, but after 3 full days of me running around draining my food, I finally found a jungle. And on the same night of day 85, I found a temple. Finally, I was so happy. It wasn't about the loot that was inside of it. It was just about the fact that I'd actually found one and I'd been in one and I'd never experienced this thing before. So it was quite something cool for me to do. I don't know why, but I found it way too amusing to set off the trap and actually ended up getting hit by it, even though I didn't attempt to. I got hit by it and then I grabbed the loot. It was nothing crazy, but I was happy. So then I decided to head home. I got everything that I wanted from this journey. It took a while. It took me 5 days to find this thing, and it took me 3 days to get home since I knew the direct path. But I finally made it home without dying, and my totem of undying is still in use. And when I got home, I realized I could have made this adventure so much faster, and that was by using an elytra and fireworks to fly around the map to find the jungle much faster. But I don't have an elytra yet, so I set off on a mission yet again to go into the end and try and find myself an elytra. It took me a while to get there because I didn't save the coords, so I had to re-follow the Eye of Ender, but I leaped through the portal and I was there. I wasn't entirely prepared, so I decided to kill a few endermans before I went anywhere, just so that I had some E-pearls to help me, because the void, if I fell in, the totem of undying was pointless. It wasn't going to help me at all, because I would just respawn and then die again in the void. So I found the new end portal, used the trapdoor, and slid straight into it, nearly fell into the void straight away, but there was the land. Unfortunately, there was no end city nearby, so it took me quite a while to find a place. However, I did find one of these tall buildings. I don't know their specific names. I know they all have different names, but I found this place. Unfortunately, there was no elytra in this building, but there was a few shulkers, so I killed them. Got the shulker skulls, I think. I think I could make some boxes with them, but as I said, I don't really know these higher versions, so I'm just learning along with you guys. But yeah, like I said, there was no elytra in here, so I just got the stuff and got out and tried to find a new end city. And this journey took a long time. I was traveling for so long. But I finally made my way onto the end city. I found a brewing stand, and finally, after so long of searching, I found an elytra. He was being guarded by a shulker, so I killed that after trying to kill his little squirmy thing. I hit him a few times, and then he moved, and then I finally killed him and helped myself to the stuff inside of the chest, and finally, the elytra. I know there are many elytras all through the end, but I could not care less. I only need one, so I got this thing and started heading home. But before I left, I also got the dragon head, because that is something that is really cool, and I really wanted it. So there I was, with my final mission of this hardcore world that I wanted to do in the 100 days done. I was able to fly my way back home through the end, like an absolute god with my totem of undying, and slowly and peacefully return home. And after spending way too much time trying to find a portal to get me out of the end, I returned to see that it was the night time of day 99. So I put my dragon head on the wall above the egg and the elytra in the item frame and decided it was time to sleep to take me into day 100. And there it was. The thing I had been working towards for the last 5 IRL days and 100 Minecraft days, it had happened. I finally reached 100 days in hardcore. Now, I will not lie, I had no expectations when I started this. I did not expect to last this long, and I have ended up making a nice farm community here in hardcore, and I really, I don't understand how I did it. I thought I would have died so many times. And somehow this is the first try I did of this as well. So I really honestly hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, be sure to go down there and smash the like button. That would be greatly appreciated. This was a huge risk for me to post this because I never usually post videos like this on this channel. So I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you guys do enjoy it, maybe I can start live streaming this world over on my second channel. And just seeing what I can do with it, you know, just see how far I can actually go. I'm still yet to get netherite armor. There's a lot more that I don't really understand about this game that I'm yet to learn. But for now, that is the end of my 100-day journey. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to subscribe. Like as well if you did enjoy. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.